Secretary Diokno called the free tuition law unsustainable and anti-poor. What is your thought on this?
Uh, I agree with him.
Okay.
And I think uh, the reason for saying it's unsustainable is essentially that its goal of massification to
Mm-hmm.
achieve universal education is essentially unrealistic given the country's financial constraints. And in fact, I would say that I would go further than Secretary Diokno and say that the current free
Mm-hmm.
education law fosters inefficient use of resources. Um, on this point, continued massification
Mm-hmm.
of policy without reforming its objectives of a college education for all, without modifying the design, finance, and implementation
Okay.
of the law is likely to adversely affect the ability of the country to achieve opportunely other urgent education and socioeconomic goals, particularly goals pertaining to improving the welfare of the poor. Uh, so um, these goals include critical improvements in basic education quality, faster reduction in learning poverty,
Mm-hmm.
better child health and nutrition, which is very important for the learning of
Yes.
children, and faster acquisition of work skills of children who drop out of school early on before completing high school. By
Mm,
the
okay.
way, the recent experience of economically advanced countries like Germany and the US to push for universal education, called for in the US, for example, by Senator Bernie Sanders,
Yes.
has turned out to be unsustainable. And by the way, our political leaders have taken that as a model, but I think we need to rethink that.
Yes. Sir, what would be the impact then on our economy? And how about on the state universities and college themselves?
Yeah. What? Well, first of all, let me just be clear that to avoid misunderstanding, it is important for the country, both public and private
Mm-hmm.
sectors, to invest in the expansion of higher education,
Okay.
uh, uh, the number of graduates, and uh, uh, to ratchet up the quality of their higher education experience. That's
Mm-hmm.
really critical for the country to have the capacity to produce top level expertise and informed leaders, given the centrality of innovations based on advances in science and technology, particularly in the era or the age of the emerging age of the fourth industrial revolution.
Mm, okay, okay. And then, sir, what amendments then are needed to make this law fiscally sustainable?
Um, okay, so in view of various considerations, which I would like to expand if you would allow me a little bit,
Okay.
uh, is that I believe that a policy that calls for um, that calls for the um, the universal access, untargeted use of resources
Mm-hmm.
to enable students
Okay.
uh, uh, can result in a wastage
Okay.
of resources, both in terms of the time of the students and government resources.
Yes.
And the reason why is that not all many students are unprepared to go to college or to do well in and benefit from college education because they are unprepared.
Yes.
Either they don't have talent, or if they have talent, they are not simply not ready, or they are unprepared to do serious work at the college level because of the poor quality of education,
Yes.
particularly fundamental education, that characterize our education system currently. In fact, our education system currently, in terms of learning achievements, are really in crisis.
Okay, but sir, the question is then for the meantime or for now, what could be done to make sure that the law would strictly
So
benefit the poor?
here are my suggestions for
Yes,
consideration
yes. Go ahead, sir.
of government. One is the adoption of what we call socialized tuition-free uh, um, subsidy or tuition-free access to SUCs or the state colleges and universities. With that means that those who can afford it, who are well off, should pay some amount, a fraction of the cost of
Okay.
the college education, running providing college education. Now, so second, amendment of the current Universal Access to Quality Education Act, RA 10931. Third, review of the design and implementation of the tertiary education subsidy or the TES. Fourth, implementation and funding of the Unifast law as envisioned in the United Assistance System, Unified Assistance System for Tertiary Education Act of 2015 or RA 10687. Now, if you recall, this was the law that kind of provided a coordinated and a much more efficient way of providing targeted scholarships or grants and aid to students that are deemed ready or have the gift and talents to go to college.
Yes, yes, yes.
And this was actually approved with the support of the various secretaries of the economic secretaries, including Dr. Diokno. And this was superseded by the current Act, Republic Act RA 10931, which is this Universal Access to Quality Education Act. So, and I think we need to look at this and revise it so that it becomes more sustainable and at the same time more efficient in the development or the financing of access to higher education.
Yes, and to make sure that this really goes to those who deserve it. Well, unfortunately, sir, that's all the time we have. But thank you very much for joining us this morning. Sir Vic Paqueo, a visiting fellow at the Philippine Institute for Development Studies. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.